Dear students, good morning. Let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 4th May 2018. The first article is A Pattern of Impunity. It is about the criminal justice system and its casteist biases. It is based on the judgment in Subhash Kashinath Mahajan versus State of Maharashtra. You know that the Supreme Court has stated the misuse of SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act need to be addressed in this case and provided certain safeguards. They are anticipatory bail can be given, and second is any officer in discharge of his duties in official capacity, if he has been threatened with this act and any prosecution has to be made, it shall be with the approval of the appointing authority. And the third safeguard is on a private individual, if a case has to be filed and a preliminary inquiry is necessary by an officer of the rank of DYSP. So in this context, the criminal justice system appears to be biased against the Dalits. This is the argument the author makes. So the reasons which he makes are, one is, whenever atrocities happened against the Dalits, conviction rate is very low. Either you talk about Sunduru massacre in Andhra Pradesh, Kilvanmani massacre in Tamil Nadu, or Lakshmanpur massacre in Bihar, everywhere the accused culprits are not convicted till date. And the second system is the criminal justice system, citing minor errors, minor deviations, is trying to dilute the entire law. And third thing, the Supreme Court entering into the legislative domain to dilute the law is a clear example of judicial activism. And finally, it can be seen that the existing regime has voluntarily asked the Supreme Court to look into the misuse of this particular act. Though it was beyond the scope of this particular case, the Supreme Court has actively reviewed it to dilute the provision of the act. More than SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act having teeth to jail the accused and to get them punished, it is the sense of psychological security that was given to the Dalits that was more important. Today, this dilution of the provisions, it alienated the Dalits more from our Indian society. That's how this article is being put up as. Now here, he has explained this particular case, Subhash Kashinath Mahajan versus the State of Maharashtra. I am not going into the details of this case because it is not necessary for us for the exam. What is necessary for us is what is the essence of this article. Targeting Tehran. This article is about Iran nuclear deal. You know that Benjamin Netanyahu in a recent talk has targeted Iran and stated that it has lied to the world and taken up the Iran nuclear program, and it has tried to destabilize the entire region. So in that scenario, he wanted the nuclear deal to be scrapped. And Israel believes that nuclear deal can provide for greater muscle to the Iran as a regional power. And Mr. Trump is ready to accept this argument. But if we observe, after the Iran nuclear deal is signed between Iran and P5 countries, permanent 5 countries in Germany, till date, none of the parties have accused that Iran has violated the deal. Under these circumstances, so painstakingly built deal cannot be scrapped, stating some reasons which are having no relevance today. And the second point is the very argument that Iran went forward with nuclear program and it was close to building a nuclear bomb is the reason that why we shall have a deal today. On May 12th, President Trump is supposed to make a decision on scrapping the deal or renegotiating the deal. So any such provocation is not going to be good for the entire region and peace over there. That's what this article states. Was the center right in resisting Justice Joseph's elevation? You know that from 1970s onwards, the Supreme Court has become very assertive. And especially post-emergency scenario, the Supreme Court has become an institution to expand and protect the rights of the citizens. Menaka Gandhi case is significant of this. And due process of law, basic structure doctrine, all these are an expansion of the judiciary powers. It has been argued that this expansion is the reason for judicial activism. And this judicial activism is seen from judicial independence dimension with regard to the appointment of judges. The collegium system has took away the appointment of judges from the executive into the hands of the judiciary. And today, executive has become assertive. It wants to take back its power, and it is relying on the reasons that the collegium failed to live to the aspirations of the system. It is opaque, and it did not provide for or recommend for judges in time. And finally, it is been blamed for all the problems of the judiciary today. And on the other hand, judicial independence is essential for a thriving democracy. And previously, we saw that how independence was compromised when government has tried to create a committed judiciary. A committed judiciary is one which tries to serve the purpose of the executive. And after that, government, so after the collegium has come up, it appeared that the judiciary has become much strong like never before. And second, the judiciary started suffering from its own internal problems. The threat for the judiciary is not from outside, it is from within. And when the collegium system started working, it has created certain conditions when Supreme Court can send a recommendation back to the collegium. And if the collegium reiterates it, the government has to approve the same. So here the conditions stated are health grounds, and the tenure is too short, and there is a problem in interpreting certain material facts. These are the conditions. Whatever the conditions stated by government in KM Joseph's case do not fall into this particular category. And second, recently it has become an issue to segregate certain names among the list of the names recommended by collegium. Initially it was Gopala Subramanian, now it is Mr. KM Joseph. Indu Malhotra and KM Joseph justices, these are recommended simultaneously. So tomorrow, if they have to be promoted as the CJI, Mr. KM Joseph will be highly disadvantaged because his appointment is delayed because of segregation. His chances of getting promoted as the CJI obviously gets lost. So segregation is one tool through which career prospects can be hindered by the government. And second, interfering with the appointments is second thing through which it can hinder the independence of judiciary. Finally, what we can say is the Supreme Court has rejected NJAC, stating it is violative of the judicial independence. But a balance is necessary. The checks and balances will not work if executive do not have the control, an element of control over the judiciary, and judiciary do not have the control over the executive. So in the spirit of that, a common mean is necessary in the judicial appointments. That's what is the essence of this article is. Into brave new age of irrationality, you know that India is predominantly a belief-based society. So in this scenario, irrationality appears to be growing in Indian society. The reasons are many, but previously India was colonized because India has lived in past, glorifying its past, rather than keeping itself pace with modernity. When Europe is awakening due to Renaissance, India is being pushed into darkness in its own fast past glory. So here, the Constitution of India in its fundamental duties clearly states that nurturing of scientific temper, spirit of inquiry and reform are essential for every individual. And in these circumstances, rationality is basis for this. And negating with this rationality, either by debating Darwinism or stating that Ganesha was the first example of plastic surgery, or saying internet is there from the Mahabharata era, all these things clearly shows ignorance. Glorifying our past ultimately makes us a laughing stock among the scientific community across the world. India need to be cautious about it. Secret agent. This is about Karnataka elections. Janata Dal Secular has its own necessities, and obviously it's going to be a key player if Hung Assembly has come into picture. So the Janata Dal Secular is expected to align with BJP if the political calculations go right. That's what this article states about. But it's more a political article. Now, here my point is how the regional parties are able to play between the national parties. When we have only one regional party, obviously it has a greater bargaining power. If you go to Tamil Nadu, two more regional parties are there. In those circumstances, relative bargaining of the regional parties with national parties is decreasing because now the national parties have a choice either to align with one regional party or the other. So, this is one dimension of the coalition politics which we have to see. Acting against a judge, it is about Judges Inquiry Act. You know that this act, enacted in 1968, clearly states that after a motion is introduced in the parliament, the presiding officer has to appoint a three-member committee which has to inquire the charges against the judge. The charges of misbehavior or incapacity. Finally, after the report is submitted, and if misbehavior and incapacity are established by this inquiry committee, then the motion will be put to vote. If it fails to establish that, then motion will die then and there itself. That is what is the essence of the article. Emerging irritant. This is about China-Pakistan economic corridor. It's a thorn in India-Pakistan relations. So, there is a potential that the China-Pakistan economic corridor can develop into a full-fledged China-Pakistan axis. Then, it is the time India has to look and realign its foreign policy. That is one thing. And the second thing is, once this economic corridor comes, if prosperity increases in POK, obviously India's chances to claim for POK gets reduced. So that's why it is more a sovereign question. So India needs to put it up for test. And obviously when India raises this issue, Pakistan is going to raise the issue that entire India's owning up of the Kashmir itself is illegal and it starts demanding for the plebiscite. So in those circumstances, CPEC is expected to raise India-Pakistan tensions further. In the last page, I gave you the notes that will be available at laix.in/civilsprep. Thank you very much.